What's up YouTube, Jay Traveling here, and today exciting day for me. I finally got an Octominer built in my crypto mining area and was able to get it together, get it running, and put my overclocks into it and really see what these Octominers are all about. And I'm just going to split. I'm really happy with how it's running. Now, this was my Tevgai Rig, and the reason it was Tevgai was for all EVGA TI cards. So it was EVGA in the middle and T on the front, I on the end, which gave it its name. But now currently it doesn't have all TI cards, but I left the name on it because I liked it and it grew on me. Now, I did go into the grow tent. I had to pull the cards out. Now I had rigs just sitting around. You know, it's stuck sitting there, rigs are off and you're building. But I finally assessed all the rigs that I want to put in to my crypto mining, into my Octominers, I mean. So since I knew that, I was able to turn a bunch of rigs back on and my basement was cooled off finally. So my farm is back up and running and I'm just shutting off rigs as I go to put them into the Octominers. Now when I do this, I do go in the Hivo S and I shut the rig down, and I usually let it run for a little bit, and then like I'll stop the miner, let it run for a little bit just to cool down the cards, and then shut the rig down from Hivo S. Then once I'm done and the rig shuts off, that's when I pull the plug on the power and shut the power supplies off. I don't like to just kill power because it could cause issues with the rig in some rare cases. I mean I've done a lot of times where I just flick the switch off and then turn it back on the power supply, and the rig boots back up and it's just fine. But I try to limit what could go wrong with the rig. So I got the Tevgai rig out, then I pulled out my other rig from the tent because I wanted to take a few cards off of my Flux rig and put it into the Octominer. So it's all EVGA for the win cards. Now I did put one in and tested the fitting and it looked pretty solid. So I just went ahead and pulled all the wiring. So I did spend a lot more time on cable management in this rig because I want to make sure as much air as possible is getting through it. So I took the time, pulled all the wires. They're all different lengths, so I was able to see what went where. Then with my 3080 Ti, I made sure to use two wires for it, not just a splitter to put into the 3 PCIe rails. So I did use 2 wires. One's just one 8-pin, one was a split 6-pin to dual 8-pin off of the power supply. So that powered that there. And before I even put cards in, I also made sure to plug up every PCIe on the motherboard so that every lane was going to get power, and I could ensure that. Now I finally got all the cards into the Octominer, and currently it is sitting right on my rack where it's not going to stay for good. So it's at the bottom of the rack underneath my other rigs that are just temporarily there just to keep it running, and I was able to power it there until I assess all my power on the banks and know how I'm going to power it and then condense it all down. Now I plan on running all of my Octominers off of my workbench. I'm probably going to vertically mount them and set them on their side and have all 4 sitting there. I may have to build something to do so, but I plan on putting them there so that when the air pulls through and the exhaust out, it goes right to my exhaust fan. It can pull right out the window. Now, if we go into the rig here, so inside the rig here, this is my Octominer one, and you can see I have the Octominer controls, and I set some auto fan controls for these, but they pretty much just run at 90 and 80% the entire time. But I do like that, and I have my power consumption right here, which is a fairly accurate one at the wall from what I'm to understand. And then if you look at all my temps, they all seem pretty good. Now these are mining Flux, so I don't have much memory on them. I don't plan on putting this on Ethereum even with the 100% LHR unlock. These are LHR cards. This 10 gigabytes an LHR card, and this 3070 is an LHR 3070, even though it's a for the win card. But it's mining Flux and it's doing pretty well, but I do want to keep mining Flux and eventually run a couple nodes in my basement. I did buy a couple PCs already to do so. I just need to set one up, and I'm almost at the point where I have enough for a second one. But it is mining Flux, and it's going to stay that way. But like I said, pretty excited. Finally got one going. Pretty happy with how it's turned out. Now my other ones I plan on doing are going to be all pretty much 30 series cards. I'm going to put my For the Win rig in to another one after I get the other two 3090s plated. My 3080 and 13090 already have copper plates, and I have the other ones sitting on my workbench. I just need to put them on. It's just time consuming to tear the card down, and I have two of them to do and clean them. Mainly the cleaning part is the time consuming part. When I do the copper plates, that's probably where I spend 70% of my time, is cleaning the thermal pads off of the card and getting it as clean as possible. Putting the actual plate on takes almost no time at all to apply thermal paste, spread it, put the plate on, more thermal paste, put the cooler back on. And then on the 90, you take the back plate off and do the same thing. So it's really just cleaning the actual thermal pads off the GPUs is what I'm dreading. And then I do have another non-LHR full hash rate 3070 For the Win. And then this one behind me that I purchased from EVGA's B stock actually is a non-LHR For the Win 3070, but this one actually showed up defective. If you look, that middle fan is not spinning, and I am in the process of RMAing it. I just have to take it off and ship it back to them. I already have the ticket started, but they should take care of that and send me out another card. Hopefully they send me another RX card that's non-LHR, but with the LHR unlocks, it's not really as big of a deal. I just like to have that rig all non-LHR, and when I look at the miner, I don't see an LHR on there. That's just, I guess, an OCD thing for me, not so much an operational thing at this point. And then my other two Octominers are going to be, one I'm going to rename Frankenstein, because it's just going to be a mix of 3070s and 3060 Ti. Actually, I think it's just all 3070s, and they're all non-LHR cards, so it's just going to be a mix. I think I'm actually one short on that rig. And then my other one is going to have all of my Asus TUFs, all of my MSI Ventus X3s, and then my 2 gigabytes. So it's going to be a nice looking rig with matching cards in it, but they're all non-LHR also. Not that it's a huge deal now, but I do have a lot of them just from having them sitting around. So those are going to be my Octominers, and then I do need to figure out a solution for my 3080 TUF. So I think I'm going to order critical pads to repad it. They don't make a copper plate for it just because of the cooler design. It's a little harder to do so. If you have another company that does pre-cut thermal pads that you think is better than critical, please let me know in the comments below, because I need to order those pads up and get that situated, because even in an 85-degree Fahrenheit room, even a little bit lower than I had it at 78 degrees Fahrenheit, it was already pushing 100C on the memory with a pretty powerful fan in front of it. So I need to really get that situated right away. So I'm looking to repad that before I get in an Octominer, but even if I get it in there first, it's not hard for me to pull it out and pad it afterwards. And in the Octominer, it might even cool the memory just a little bit quicker than if it were on that open air frame with just a slightly better exhaust fan and the air actually directed across the card. But thanks for checking this video out. I'd like to hear you guys' experience with Octominers, if you like them or not. I'm pretty excited. I still have a couple more boxes to open to make sure they're still in good condition. The two that I did open up are in good condition, because I do have my one rig put together, and I do have one set up as a temporary rig just for testing GPUs. But thanks for checking this video out. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment down below. See you next time.